produce a lot of pain.
Chaos on a New York subway train. 10 people shot.
Police still on the hunt for the man responsible.
We're not letting up on it until we find out and we find the perpetrator.
Pressure to bring the fentanyl crisis under control. Colorado lawmakers debate what should be considered felony possession.
I'm anticipating that we will definitely see a lot of changes.
One pill can, has, and will continue to kill.
And the latest additions to the Broncos have the team and the fans feeling very good about the upcoming season.
His energy's, almost unmatched. It's great. It's contagious. I'm just excited, man. It's going to be a great season.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Shannon Ogden.
I'm Ann Trujillo. Everyone agrees we need to address the fentanyl crisis. How we go about that is another story.
Now, as we have been reporting, deaths from fentanyl are on the rise in Colorado. A report from the Common Sense Institute says fentanyl deaths in Colorado last year up 260% since 2019. And now state lawmakers are debating about what to do about this problem. Denver 7 politics reporter Megan Lopez has been sitting on some emotional hearings today for a bill targeting fentanyl distribution.
And Megan, this all comes down to how much lawmakers want to consider felony possession, and everyone has a different idea on what would help address the issue.
Yeah, that's right, Ann and Shannon. The discussion and the disagreements right now really boil down to how to handle distribution versus how to handle possession. Now, the bill in its current form right now almost exclusively deals with distribution and not really possession. That's something that law enforcement and a lot of different Republicans say needs to be addressed moving forward. The bill says that 4 grams would be a felony for possession, but opponents say that's enough to kill hundreds, maybe even thousands of people if it's pure fentanyl, and so they're pushing for possession to be a felony.
Chiefs, sheriffs, and Fraternal Order of Police members stand firm in our call for a strong zero-tolerance policy against the possession of this poison.
I can't see this bill getting out of that committee with some sort of a change to that possession level, from 4 grams down to 0 or 1 or 2.
So the bill's supporters say that they don't want to return to the old drug policies that punished and incarcerated addicts. There were some discussions about significantly lowering that possession amount that happened behind the scenes before this committee started, but we'll have to see how those amendments play out. Today's hearing definitely an emotional one. Lots of people brought photos of their lost loved ones. There were lots of tears. One woman even sharing her story of nearly dying herself had it not been for Narcan. Those families had mixed feelings on that possession issue.
We think that 4 grams is way too much for personal possession. We don't want to see these casual users charged with a felony. Our heart is really for them to get help, to get off their addiction. It's not to put them behind bars for some bad choices.
So another portion of this bill that's receiving quite a bit of backlash at this point deals with Good Samaritan rules. Basically what the bill says is if you are in possession of fentanyl and you give it to somebody else, that person overdoses or is poisoned, so long as you stay on the scene, you try to render aid, you call 911, and you really try to help that person, you won't face felony charges for distribution resulting in a death, though you would face other felony charges. Law enforcement, again, really not happy with that portion of the bill because they say it doesn't matter if you stayed on the scene and you tried to help that person, you giving them that pill killed them, so you should face the consequences as a result. That's something Speaker Alec Garnett tried to get ahead of today.
We want to save lives. We want to make sure that the people who are on the scene do everything they can to save that person's life.
So big portions of this bill also deal with rehabilitation, really making sure that people who are addicted to some sort of drug get the treatment that they need and the education that they need to know about fentanyl. No matter what, though, the supporters of this bill say some version of it has to pass. They say they cannot put this off to next year because too many people are dying. The big question now is what version of it is going to make it out of this committee, guys?
The impact that drugs having right now in Colorado is incredible. All right, Megan Lopez, thank you for that, reporting from the Capitol.
Your family budget, your ability to fill up your tank, none of it should hinge on whether a dictator declares war and commits genocide a half a world away.
Today, President Biden referred to Russia's war on Ukraine, and you heard there, as genocide. And he blamed Russian President Vladimir Putin for the price hikes on gasoline here in the U.S. The Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said yesterday that more than 10,000 civilians now have been killed just in the city of Mariupol since Russia's invasion began. And today, President Zelensky again appealed to the UN for more weapons as Russian troops move into eastern parts of his country. More than 4.5 million people now have fled Ukraine since the beginning of this invasion.
10 people were shot this morning at a subway station in Brooklyn, New York, after a man in a gas mask began shooting at passengers.
Police say nearly 30 others were injured, and the gunman still at this hour has not been found. For the very latest from New York, ABC News reporter Rena Roy joins us live.
And Rena, the main focus right now for law enforcement is finding that gunman.
Yeah, Anna and Shannon, that is absolutely right. This urgent manhunt has been underway for hours now. In fact, since this incident unfolded, pretty much all day, police have been working to track down this suspect. Investigators are warning that he is very dangerous. The governor of New York calling him cold-hearted and depraved.
Chaos unfolding on the New York City subway system during morning rush hour. Investigators say the gunman was riding the N line going into Manhattan just before 8:30 a.m. wearing a gas mask when he set off a gas canister and opened fire, shooting innocent riders on the train and platform. You can see people spilling out of the train car, gas from that canister filling the air. People stumbling onto the platform, collapsing. Good Samaritans helping the injured.
I saw a lot of people coming out of the train station. One of them was injured. I believe it was a lady getting shot right on her leg. She was screaming, she was in a lot of pain.
Sources tell ABC witnesses reported the suspect was mumbling to himself moments before.
This individual is still on the loose. This person is dangerous. They're asking individuals to be very vigilant and alert.
John Ramsey watched as dozens of New Yorkers rushed from the 36th Street station in the Sunset Park neighborhood of Brooklyn, screaming for help.
They were obviously terrified, running down to by streets, and then there were people who were unable to do so and were shouting for help.
Right now, there's no word on a motive. Police say the incident does not appear to be terror-related, but they're not ruling anything out.
We're going to continue to stay in close contact with New York authorities, and as we learn more about the situation over the coming hours and days.
And sources tell ABC News that police discovered a handgun inside the subway station here that was filled with 3 extended round magazines, one of which was jammed. And they say that jamming actually saved a lot of lives. And
wow. And Rena, we know the police have recovered a U-Haul that was rented by the gunman. So what more can you tell us about that U-Haul, its purpose, what was inside?
Yeah, that's right, Ann. So there are still a lot of questions surrounding that truck. What we do know is that police found a credit card at the scene here at the subway station. They then discovered that it was used to rent a U-Haul truck. Police tracking down that U-Haul about 4 miles from the subway station here. They're now investigating it to figure out if there is, in fact, a direct connection to the suspect. Ann?
All right, we know we will all stay on top of this. Thank you, Rena Roy. Appreciate it. And Denver police and RTD have stepped up patrols at local transit stations today in response to that shooting in Brooklyn. RTD told us its officers are on high alert. RTD is also reminding all passengers to report to operators and police if they ever see anything suspicious on trains and buses. And you can always make an anonymous report through the RTD app.
Well, tomorrow, Denver will consider banning concealed carry in parks and public spaces. The city attorney's office will propose a measure that would restrict concealed carry in any building or area owned by the city. Now, if it's approved by council, it could take effect as early as next month. And today, Colorado Congressman Jonah Goose introduced 4 new bills aimed at preventing mass shootings and increasing help for shooting victims. The Help for Healing Communities Act would help provide mental health services to victims of a mass shooting. The Stop Violence Act would provide federal funds for security at places where we have previously seen mass shootings. The Prioritizing Resources for Victims of Firearm Violence Act would prioritize assistance to victims of gun violence and their families. And then the 4th bill, the Safe Workers Act, would expand worker safety and instruct a federal study on threats of violence in the workplace.
The legislation that we are announcing today is born from the deep anguish that we feel at each of these tragedies and the deep desire that we have to ensure that these tragedies don't happen again.
I became truly an introvert and I just was unable to communicate with other people.
A Colorado-designed app helps students stay social.
It pinpoints the things that I think teenagers struggle with the most.
Well, those winds keep whipping, and I'll let you know if they're going to bring Denver any snow.
And an Adams County deputy's quick thinking likely saved lives. And now his department's calling him a hero.